real complex. The best out there, cannot be matched. Also other great systems we promote at InfoWarsTeam.com, like Pollen Burst, Rebound, the Cell Shield, all of it at InfoWarsTeam.com. You can get discounts there when you sign up to be a distributor, InfoWarsTeam.com. But the proof is in the pudding. Aaron Dykes has lost close to 90 pounds. I mean, I knew it was good and folks were using it, and it was good for you, for health. They don't advertise it as weight loss. But I can eat half as much as I used to just drinking this 3 or 4 times a day. It's amazing. InfoWarsTeam.com, and your purchase also supports us, but again, you can get discounts there. Also, it's good to purify your water. I've done a lot of research and have the best gravity-fed filters out there. Just look at the specs at InfoWars.com on ProPure. We already have it the lowest discount anywhere. We get it right from the manufacturer, but we add a 10% discount on top of it when you put the promo code WATER in. WATER. At Infowars.com for the ProPure gravity-fed filters. And they even have special filters to cut out the fluoride, which very few filters can do, but it's a chemical process. So check that out at Infowars.com, or the super high-quality vitamins and minerals at InfoWarsTeam.com. And I have a demonstration video up there on the store about the ProPure filters as well. All right, we're about to go to break. I want to keep you about 20 minutes in the next hour. Continue with this report. Because I mean, break down what's happened, how this came to light briefly, then let's come back again into more, the latest developments on Fast and Furious.
Well, this particular federal complaint was just put online a couple of days ago, and quite a few blogs and so forth jumped on it. Now, this is a really fascinating story. You've got, obviously, a couple of active duty U.S. military. Now, something strange happened. They were due to be redeployed to Afghanistan in February, and Kevin Corley, who is one of the leaders of this gang, was discharged from Fort Carson, which is where the 4th Brigade is stationed. Now, there's no details as to why he was discharged, okay? There's also another question which looms here is that, when you lose a 500-pound consignment of narcotics and you just hand it over to the DEA and they let you drive along while they take the truck, and then he's gone back to the guys who were posing as Los Zetas, these undercover DEA agents, to do more business soon after that. So it's almost like there was no big deal. We lost 500 pounds of pot. So it makes you wonder, is there an endless supply of drugs here?
Well, that's what happens when one hand doesn't know what the other hand is happening. But they were able to give the code word, so they let him go. And again, the feds are saying these guys were involved in wet work, murder for hire services, narcotics trafficking, and stolen U.S. military weapons. Well, what do you think your bosses in the federal government are involved in? Blowing up Oklahoma City, blowing up 9/11. Going back to investigative journalist for Infowars.com, Patrick Henningsen, who has been traveling the U.S. investigating government drug dealing. Our soldiers publicly have to guard and even help plant and give fertilizer to the Afghans to grow the opium. It's up almost tenfold the production level, from 10% to 92% is the average number. That's what the federal government predicts or estimates. Well, that's their projection, I should say. According to MSNBC, is 92%. It could be higher. Flooding the world with it. And now they just hide it in plain view. And then I've been told by military personnel and others that indeed the U.S. military is all over the border. We've seen cases where Marines, shoot some innocent U.S. citizen, who's herding sheep down in South Texas. This stuff happens. But you've got these guys who are active duty running around. And now the feds have actually grabbed him, though. Do we know why this is happening?
I think we can only guess at this point, but I'm telling you, this is a very bizarre operation, to say the least. So I predict there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be unearthed over the next few weeks or the next few months about this thing. But, the bigger picture here, Alex, is that, the mainstream media and our politicians in Washington have really made such a meal out of the whole thing of talking about the economy in terms of the stock market and in terms of derivatives and this and that. The real liquidity, Alex, and this is Catherine Austin Fitz, who's on your show many times. She pointed this out. The real liquidity, the real cash that propped up the banking sector in terms of Citibank, for one, is black market cash. And this is they're always underestimating the size of the black market, playing it down, and you don't hear about it very much in the news, the real statistics. Why? Because you can't calculate the size of the black market because it's not audited, okay? But this black market is one of the most important aspects of how the kind of, the slimy elements of the globalist cabal do their business.
That's right. They control it. And instead of cracking down on their narcotics and child kidnapping, they're going to go after the Amish and people selling pecans. They want that gone.
If you look at it, if you look at the global economy in terms of, let's call it a pyramid, okay? The military-industrial complex and the big Fortune 500 corporations, they'll form the base of this pyramid, okay? Then, the amount of money and on paper it's much bigger than the black market. But at the top of this pyramid is a little black capstone, okay? This is the black market. And I contend that whoever controls the black capstone of this economic pyramid can control the whole pyramid.
I agree, because that money is worth 100 times because it is black. It is secret, and it's what's used to bribe people and to then blackmail them with the black money.
The black market is the WD-40 grease that turns the wheels of power with the shadow government and also, any kind of nefarious organizations the world over. This is the grease that turns the machine. Without this, you cannot pay off judges. You cannot buy silence. You cannot buy loyalty.
And you decriminalize the drugs, it is over overnight. It'll rise up like a cold sore, and that's why top drug dealers are on record saying, I love the drug war. Never get rid of it.
Yeah, in terms of drugs, child prostitution, human trafficking, vice activity, you have all kind of vested interests around the world. That's why Ron Paul is so dangerous to the establishment. One of the reasons is he wants to legalize drugs. Okay, or decriminalize drugs.
And again, that takes all the criminal element and the money out. And now poor drug heads will be, doing it at home under supervision instead of robbing you to go buy the overpriced drugs so the big bankers get that money. Then they also put them in the private prisons owned by the drug dealers. We'll be right back. We're talking about the phony drug war with investigative journalist from Infowars.com, Patrick Henningsen. We're working on getting Lord Monkton on dealing with the environmental power grabs going on by the green cultists who are trying to seize power and are trying to censor our videos and others. Really incredible developments on that front. But here's an article out of the Huffington Post. Lawmakers in 5 states tell feds to back off medical marijuana. Remember, Obama promised that he was going to follow the 10th Amendment for states' rights and that he was going to back off medical marijuana if it was prescribed by doctors, which they admit. Of all the plants out there that you can get drugs from that help people, there's nothing like marijuana. And I'm not even a pot smoker. I mean, I've smoked it, tried it here and there. Every time I get talked into doing it, I'm like, why did I do this? It just doesn't float my boat. But regardless of that, lawmakers in 5 states tell feds to back off medical marijuana. The point is, when you make this stuff illegal, it drives up the price. It allows government behind the scenes to selectively enforce. It corrupts the police, just like alcohol prohibition did for the decade or 9.5 years that they had it in place. And when that ended, they made drugs illegal. You could buy cocaine, heroin at the corner drugstore, and much smaller numbers of people used it or took it. You think I'm joking? You can buy 6 packs of Coca-Cola that had massive amounts of cocaine in it. That's why it's called Coke. So go look it up. It's hiding in plain view. They've done this to take over our society. And Patrick Henningsen was talking about the black capstone over the larger economy of the black market controlled by the big mega banks who launder the money. So when they come in with this cashless society, they're going to use it to crack down on the Amish and people selling peaches on the side of the road and lemonade stands and Girl Scout cookies, as they've now done. They don't want any of that. But the real black market, it will continue on. Patrick Henningsen, I want to ask you about this. You know, Obama said he wouldn't hire lobbyists, hired more than anybody else. Said he wouldn't torture, expanded it. Wouldn't have wars, expanded it. He said he'd have the most open government, most closed government. He'd honor whistleblowers and journalists. He's arresting them en masse. You know, NDAA, all of it. What do you make of this whole black market and where all this is going? Please continue to give us your take on this.
Well, firstly, let's just comment on Obama. I just wrote an article for InfoWars, I think 2 days ago, called Rise of the Petty Dictator. And what I did is kind of outlined, you know, Obama, who just a few days ago called the Supreme Court a unelected group of people, and then it kind of listed all his executive orders. If he is elected in a second term, he will actually surpass George Bush's amount of executive orders. I mean, it's record-breaking stuff.
And I want to interrupt you because I'm glad, you know, I'm so conditioned to live in this tyranny. I know they're tyrants. I know they're building FEMA camps. I know they're getting ready to set up checkpoints everywhere and now announcing it. So as it happens, now I don't even make a big deal out of things that I used to. It's actually working on me. I'm weakening. And so I'm announcing that publicly so that we can all understand it's happening to us and resist it and redouble our efforts. But I forgot. He came out and said, oh, they're just unelected. They're nobody. And started listing his executive orders. That was an open threat. Even mainline pundits said it, that he may ignore it, just like he ignored Congress when they said no to carbon taxes. I mean, this is really happening.
I mean, many a constitutional law scholar had their jaws hanging around their ankles after a president who claims to have taught constitutional law would make such a statement. But that we've become used to this after 4 years of this president.
Yeah, he told Congress take a hike on the war.
Just like we became used to George W. Bush's shredding of the Constitution with his gang of neoconservatives over 8 years. The federal government, clearly, the amount of money they spend on things like Fast and Furious that end up killing people, the amount of waste. Another solar company was just gone bankrupt. It took a $2.1 billion guaranteed federal loan only a few days ago, another green project. They're just wasting money left, right, and center. And meanwhile, they will come at gunpoint to collect $100 worth of overdue federal income tax. So I think the federal government has kind of grown out of control, and this country is at a major crossroads right now. If we don't do something as people or as states, exert their states' rights, for instance, we're going to slide into tyranny, and we won't even know it. We're already there, actually. If you really look at things the way things have rolled out on paper, we're already in tyranny right now. But I think it can get really worse. Some of the things you mentioned early in the show about withholding passport privileges, that's crazy. I mean, the Soviet Union would do such things. Red China wouldn't even attempt such a thing. You know, why is the United States pushing so hard?
And by
so
the way,
fast?
it's past the Senate. It's going to the House, and it's CBS News. And they're now saying internal checkpoints, you won't be able to travel or have a job if you're not in good standing. You've heard of no-fly list? How about a no-buy food list or a no-travel list or a no-have-a-job list? Folks, I'm not predicting this and then it comes true. In their white papers that we've sourced and quoted, they have said this is the plan. How did I know they're going to have hardened checkpoints that they now have, including bulletproof ones? That's in the news today because they announced it. It's